everyone, Matt Haywood here from the Star Wars Time Show, and you know if it's not a live stream episode on the YouTube channel, it's going to be a comic book breakdown, and that is why I'm here. We're checking out Star Wars Crimson Reign number 4, breaking it down for you, busting out some of the new canon that may be of interest. So let's get right down to it. I believe this is the penultimate issue, but don't ask me because I am not keeping score. So, up first, we get a little bit of backstory and how Kira wooed the Knights of Ren. Yes, the Knights of Ren have joined Crimson Dawn, which was revealed a few issues back, but this issue in particular focuses on what they are doing for Crimson Dawn. But like I said, we get a little backstory on how she met them, and it's kind of funny at first. You know, she gets in there on Varnak and is at this bar where the Knights are at, and she interacts with Ren, their leader, who thinks he's, gonna get himself a sweet little lady, a little lady love. And I love how she's like, yeah, no, I'm not here for you. It's almost like she was playing into him, like, oh, you think I'm pretty? Not! And she's like, listen up, this is what we need to do. So you get to see their first interaction and the pitch that she makes to them to cause the Knights of Ren to want to work with Crimson Dawn. And that pitch is going to Fortress Vader, Vader's castle, and stealing this key you can see here. And apparently this key is for a door that Palpatine and Vader don't really even know where that's at. But for some reason, Vader has the key at his castle. And, if you know anything about Vader's castle, that definitely has some Sith history to it. At least all the artifacts and crap that he has brought into it. So apparently at one point in time, he got this key, and now Kira wants it because she knows it's going to be helpful in her battle against Palpatine and Vader. So there you go. That's why the Knights of Ren joined the Crimson Dawn, and I still don't know why Ren doesn't wear a shirt, but I guess, if you look like a badass with no shirt on, wearing a cape and a helmet with no face, then you do what you got to do. So we fast forward to the present timeline. The Knights of Ren make their way to Mustafar, and they do have Force powers. That's one of the reasons Kira wanted them for this job in particular to go rob Vader, because they do tap into the dark side, or as they call it, the shadow. But here we are. We're seeing them working together. They can do some impressive things with their untrained Force powers, such as move lava to reveal a secret entrance to Vader's castle. I found this panel to be pretty cool, even though the Knights of Ren were like, hey, what's all this Bacta doing in here? It's enough to save a losing army. When we know as fans, that's all for our bro Darth Vader. That's right. I mean, look at it. He essentially has a Bacta factory in his castle just to keep him going day in and day out. And I can't wait to see kind of Vader in his castle in live action again through the Kenobi series, where it's been rumored we may get scenes of his daily routine of being broken down, shoved in a Bacta tank, taken back out, parts reattached. Now it's time to have some coffee. So I just like this panel as they're kind of sneaking around Vader's castle looking for the key. The whole nod to Vader's Bacta ordeal. All right, they eventually run into Vinay, which is another nice little nod in here. I'm not going to say it's new canon, as I believe Vinay has been around at least since Rogue One. I think he was also featured in that with those Halloween tales for Lego Star Wars on Disney Plus. But Vinay runs in there and is like, hey, what are you guys doing? You're not supposed to be here. And they're like, hey, whatever, dude, we'll take you out. And he's like, yeah, good luck. I'm one of Vader's toys, and he likes to protect his toys. So he unleashes this platoon of interesting looking stormtroopers. They're kind of purge trooper-ish. And I'm wondering if this is, if we may see this style in the Kenobi series. I know this timeline is set after Empire Strikes Back, but I've just never really seen these troopers before. They seem to have like darker armor, black armor, just a full like purge trooper slit, but more of a traditional stormtrooper helmet. They have tubes coming out of it going into backpacks, but the Knights of Ren, they're questionable clothing choices, especially for the leader, but they are definitely adept at fighting, so they quickly dispatch of the forces Vinay sends after them. And they make their way to the vault where, sure enough, they end up finding the key. But as they are trying to make their egress, they run into the castle's main security, and that is Darth freaking Vader himself. That's right, people. He comes in, and as I kind of alluded to in the title for this video, he helps to thin the ranks of the Knights of Ren. As soon as he comes in, he does his patented force choke neck snap maneuver on one of the Knights of Ren, and I actually think it's the one that spits in a back-to-tank earlier on. So, karma! And then, Ren's like, all right, let's do this. So him and Vader get into a lightsaber fight. Of course, Vader's like, dude, you can't fight me, especially with a red lightsaber. You haven't earned it. And quite frankly, Vader handles Ren quite easily. I mean, it's not really even a fight. As cool as Ren looks, he's not as cool looking as Vader and not as powerful. But he's no dummy either. So as Vader is besting him in physical combat, he makes his way to a window ledge and falls out, uses the Force to brace his fall. And just as he thinks he's getting away with the key, Vader shows up and he's like, hey, I'm not Rapunzel, I have no long hair to let down, but I want my key back. So he uses the Force and starts pulling it. But Ren reminds the Knights, like, hey, why are you just standing around? Help me out here. He's getting the key. So they shoot at Vader, and it's enough of the distraction for Ren to use the Force to get the key back. And the issue ends with the Knights being somewhat successful, at least on the surface, although I think they're in deep poo-doo at this point in time, considering they just successfully robbed a Sith artifact, a key to a vault that clearly Palpatine and Vader are interested in. So who knows where things go from here. I mean, we know a bit of the fate for the Knights of Ren, thanks to the sequel trilogy and Kylo taking over that reins, and I believe he's the one that ultimately kills Ren to get that title. But they're definitely on Vader and Palpatine's poop list at this point in time. Alright, so it was a decent issue of the Crimson Reign run. You finally got to see what the Knights of Ren were up to in terms of their Crimson Dawn work and allegiance. And you always gotta love when Vader is involved and when people try to get one over on him, because it just never works out. I saw some places like, oh, Vader gets bested by the Knights of Ren. I'm like, really? Really, though? Did he really? I mean, he killed one of them, scared the hell out of most of them, and if it weren't for just a numbers game, he would have won. So, I don't know about getting bested, but there you go, people. Crimson Reign #4. Good read. Continues the miniseries. Like I said, I think we've got one more issue to go to see maybe what ultimately happened to Qi'ra and her plans. If you like these things, make sure to subscribe to the channel by using all those buttons down below. Hit sub. Hit the notifications. You got to do what you got to do. We'd love a like and a comment as well. If you also like talking Star Wars and Star Wars live streams, we do one every Tuesday, usually around 2:30 p. East. Last week we talked to Mando and Book of Boba Fett makeup artist Brian Sipe, so make sure to check that out. We got links down below if you want to get subbed up to the podcast on podcast platforms or via YouTube. And why would you want to do that? Well, I hate to tell you, I hate to break it to you, but there's always time for Star Wars time. And if you listen to the Star Wars Time show, the Force will be with you. Always.